If you've ever been alone at night, really alone, you know that silence isn't peaceful. It listens back, it waits, and sometimes it answers. That I don't say that to scare you. I say it because lately, I've been getting messages, real ones, from people who thought they were just hearing the house settle, or the wind, or a neighbor moving around upstairs. You'd be surprised how many stories start that way. I run this channel because I believe every story leaves something behind. A trace, a sound, a feeling. And sometimes those feelings don't fade when the story ends. Tonight, I've got 3 true submissions. 3 people who thought they understood what it meant to be alone. Until they didn't. One listener swore someone was tapping on their window every night for weeks. They sent recordings, timestamps, even tried to laugh it off at first. But there's a difference between random noise and rhythm. You can tell when someone's keeping time with your breathing. Another story came from a long-haul trucker. Tough guy, used to empty roads and sleepless nights. But even he still drives 20 miles out of his way to avoid one particular stretch of highway. Said he started seeing someone standing on the shoulder every night. Same spot, same face, and the last one. Well, let's just say she doesn't live alone anymore. Not since she moved into that apartment. She thought the footsteps above her were just part of city life, until she realized no one had rented the floor above hers for years. I've been doing this for a while, and I've seen my fair share of hoaxes. People looking for clicks, attention, validation. But these 3, these hit different. Something about them felt wrong. The kind of wrong that lingers. There's one more thing I probably shouldn't mention, but I will. One of these stories was pulled offline. The original email, the photos, the audio, it's all gone. The person who sent it in hasn't been heard from since. That I shouldn't even be sharing this. Some of you will wish I didn't. But if you're still listening, turn off the lights. Lock your doors. Make sure you're really alone. Because this first story was sent to me 2 years ago. And last week, I finally got proof it was real. When I think back to that week, what stands out the most isn't the sound. It's how normal everything felt before it started. That quiet, unremarkable peace that only makes sense in hindsight. Like the calm in a house before a storm hits. It was late winter, and I was home for college break. My parents had gone on a cruise, leaving me the whole place to myself. I remember being almost giddy about it. The fridge was mine. The couch was mine. No lectures about leaving dishes in the sink or staying up too late watching Netflix. It was supposed to be a mini vacation. The first few nights were perfect. Snow outside, leftover lasagna, and nothing but the hum of the heater for company. But by the 3rd night, I started noticing something strange. Every night, almost exactly at 2:13 a.m., I'd hear this soft tap 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 on the living room window. At first, I told myself it was the tree. There's an old birch just outside that window, and its branches bend low when the wind picks up. I even convinced myself that the timing was just coincidence. I laughed about it. Actually, texted my friend Alex, saying, "Bro, my parents' house is haunted by a branch." The next night, same time, same rhythm. 3 slow taps, a pause, then one final thunk. I got up, walked over, pulled the curtain back. Nothing. Just the backyard, blanketed in snow. The porch light glowed weakly through the frost, and my own reflection stared back at me in the glass. Pale and a little embarrassed. Still, I told myself it was nothing. Maybe ice shifting on the roof. Maybe the heater causing the wood to creak. But the part that started to eat at me wasn't the sound itself. It was that it always came at the exact same time. 2:13. By the 5th night, I was on edge. I kept checking the clock, waiting for it. And sure enough, right on time. Tap, 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 thunk. That night, I noticed something else. The rhythm matched my breathing. I didn't realize it until I held my breath, and the tapping stopped. I stood there frozen, lungs burning. The second I exhaled, it started again. That's when my nerves cracked. I grabbed a flashlight and stepped outside, barefoot, shivering in the cold. My breath came out in plumes. The snow was untouched, no footprints near the window, no branches close enough to hit the glass. I even banged on the tree trunk, half laughing, half furious, like it could answer me. Nothing, just the wind. The next day, I went to the hardware store and bought one of those motion sensor floodlights. I mounted it above the window and told myself that if something was really there, I'd see it. That night, I sat on the couch, wrapped in a blanket, eyes fixed on the darkened glass. Midnight passed. 1 a.m. The house was dead quiet except for the heater's hum. My phone screen dimmed in my hand. Then, right on cue, 2:13. The tapping began again. Only this time, the light didn't turn on. Tap, tap, tap. Thunk. I waited for the sensor to catch it, but nothing. The bulb stayed cold and dead. I grabbed my phone to record it, but the tapping stopped before I could hit the button. I went outside again the next morning, but there was something off about the snow now. It had melted just slightly near the window, as if something had been standing there, something warm enough to leave no print, but enough to change the surface. Why now I wasn't sleeping much. Every night felt like a countdown. I decided to set up my old webcam on the coffee table, aimed right at the window, just in case. When I checked the footage the next day, my heart dropped. The file was there, but it was just static. White noise and flickering gray. No sound, no image. Except, near the very end, one single frame that showed something. A pale blur, faintly humanoid, pressed up against the glass. I tried to pause it, but the screen froze. My laptop crashed. When it rebooted, the video was gone. I told myself it was a glitch. I even posted about it on a small paranormal forum. Got a few jokes, a couple pics, or it didn't happen comments. But one reply stood out. It said, "You sure it's tapping on the window?" That line stuck with me. 2 nights later, I found out what they meant. That I'd moved to the guest bedroom by then, figuring if I slept farther from the noise, I might finally rest. Around 2 a.m., I woke up suddenly, like my body knew it was time. The air was heavy, electric, and then, faintly, from the corner of the room, tap, 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 thunk. My stomach dropped. The sound wasn't coming from the window anymore. The IT was coming from the mirror across the room. I could see my own reflection in it, my face pale, eyes wide. Behind me, nothing. I wanted to believe it was the heater again, or maybe the pipes. But then the tapping synced with my breathing. In. Tap, out, tap. I turned on the light. The sound stopped instantly. The next morning, I covered the mirror with a sheet. I didn't touch it again. But later that day, when I went to grab something from the dresser, I noticed something faint etched onto the glass beneath the sheet, just visible in the right light. Letters, words. I could barely make them out, but they were written from inside the reflection. I never told anyone what they said. I never will. 2 days after I emailed that story to a friend for advice, the message vanished. Deleted from my inbox, my sent folder, everything. Like it was never there. I've moved out since then. My parents replaced the mirror, repainted the room. But sometimes, when I'm home for the holidays, I'll wake up around 2 a.m. I'll stare at the blank wall where that mirror used to hang. And even without it there, if the house is quiet enough, I swear I can still hear it. Tap, 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 thunk. The mirror's gone now. But sometimes, when I'm alone, I still hear the glass tapping. The next story came from a trucker, someone who swore he wasn't afraid of anything. Until that night. You ever spend so long on the road that you start talking to yourself? Not out loud, at least not at first, but in your head, like you're trying to fill the silence before it swallows you whole. That's what long-haul trucking does to you. The highways get empty. The music starts looping. You lose track of which state you're even in. I've been driving for almost 15 years now, coast to coast, mostly hauling produce or machine parts. Nights used to be my favorite. Less traffic, less hassle. Just the hum of the engine and a good thermos of coffee. That changed last winter. The route was familiar. Kansas through Oklahoma, then east toward Missouri. It was around 1:30 in the morning, pitch black and colder than hell. The CB radio was dead silent. That's when I saw him. The first time. A man on the side of the highway, thumb out, coat too thin for the weather. I almost didn't notice him until my headlights hit his face. Pale, unshaven, eyes too wide. He looked lost. Now, I know better than to pick up hitchhikers. Company policy says don't. Common sense says hell no. But it was freezing, and the nearest town was 40 miles out. I slowed down, told myself I'd at least roll the window and ask if he needed a tow or a call. He didn't say much, just east, and pointed down the road. His voice was off, like he was mimicking speech rather than speaking it. Against every instinct I had, I told him to hop in. He climbed up slow, boots scraping metal. Didn't smell drunk. Didn't even smell dirty. Just cold, like old metal. Where you headed? I asked. He mumbled something that sounded like Derringer. Never heard of it. I pulled up Google Maps. Nothing. No Derringer within 3 states. Must be a local town, I said, trying to joke. Maybe your ghost town doesn't show up on GPS. He didn't laugh. He didn't even blink, just kept staring out the windshield that we drove in silence for 20 minutes. I tried the radio, tried small talk, but he didn't react. Then I noticed something strange. The temperature gauge dipped, like the cab was losing heat, even though the vents were blasting. My breath started fogging up the windshield. Then, all at once, he said, "Stop here." There was nothing around us but snow and dead grass. No signs, no exit. I slowed down, looking for a shoulder to pull onto, but when I turned to ask if he was sure, he was already opening the door. The truck hadn't even come to a full stop that I shouted after him, but he didn't look back, just walked into the dark. The taillights barely caught his outline before he was gone. I waited a few minutes, feeling stupid. Then I drove off. I thought that was it. Just a weird, creepy encounter to tell the guys at the next rest stop. But the next night, around the same time, I saw him again, same stretch of road. Same coat, same face, only this time, he wasn't hitchhiking. He was standing in the middle of the lane, staring straight at me. I swerved, nearly jackknifed the trailer. When I looked in the mirrors, he was gone. I pulled into the next gas station, hands shaking, and recorded a voice message for my buddy Sam. He's another driver I check in with on night runs. I told him the whole thing, every detail. Sent it at 1:52 a.m. He texted back, "Man, that stretch of 35 has some weird stories. Be careful." I didn't think much of it. I just wanted to get home. But on the third night, it happened again. I was coming up on a mile marker I didn't recognize. My GPS flickered, screen went black for a few seconds, then came back showing a detour. The voice said, "Continue on Derringer Road." My heart nearly stopped. There was no Derringer Road on that map before. I know those routes like my own veins, and I swear to you, that turnoff wasn't there before 2014. I drove past it, didn't even slow down. But in the side mirror, under the orange glow of my taillights, I saw him again, walking down that invisible road, one hand dragging along the guardrail, as if he'd been waiting for me to look. That night, I set up my dash cam. Cheap little thing, but it gets the job done. I figured if I caught him on camera, I'd have proof I wasn't going crazy. The footage worked fine for hours, until 1:50 a.m. Then, static. The video skipped, audio warbled like a broken tape. For exactly 30 seconds, everything froze. When the image came back, I was already past the area. When I checked the file later, my own voice came through the static, except I hadn't said anything. It was me, clear as day, whispering, "Stop here." That's when I stopped laughing about it. I told Sam I was going to pull off early, get some sleep. He didn't respond right away. When he did, it was short. "You sent me another message last night. What was that about the mirror?" I didn't send any other message. The next morning, I checked my sent folder. 3 voice messages. One was the one I remembered. The other 2 were blank audio files, just silence and faint breathing. The last one was 47 seconds long. It started with me saying, "He's on the road again." Then another voice, my own voice, answered, "No, I'm in the truck." I don't remember saying that by the 5th day. I was too paranoid to drive at night. I'd wait till sunrise, keep the radio on, coffee strong. But there's only so long you can hide from the dark when you live on the road. So I tried to confront it. That night, I hit record on my dash cam and left my phone running too. Around 1:45, I passed the same stretch, headlights slicing through fog. There he was again, standing dead center on the line. I slowed down, grabbed my flashlight, threw open the door. "Hey," I shouted, voice cracking. He didn't move. I stepped onto the asphalt. The air was so cold it burned. Every instinct screamed to get back in the cab. But I took another step toward him. He lifted his head, and for the first time, I saw his face clearly. It was mine, older, tired, eyes hollow. He smiled, just barely, and took one step forward. I blinked, and he was gone. The road was empty. The snow was untouched. I climbed back into the cab, heart hammering, breath fogging the windshield. I checked the camera feed. It showed me sitting in the driver's seat, staring at the empty road. No door opening. No one stepping out. I never stopped the truck. When I got home 2 days later, I sent all 3 voice messages and the dashcam clip to Sam. He called me right away. Said the files were corrupted. 2 of them were empty. The third wouldn't even play. It just looped a distorted sound, like tires screeching. He swore, though, that in the background of one clip, he heard someone whispering my name. Twice. That I didn't drive for a month after that. Parked the rig, Stayed with my sister in Tulsa. Tried to convince myself I imagined it. But last week, I got a call from a number I didn't recognize. It was Sam's wife that he died in a wreck 2 nights ago. They said it happened around 1:50 in the morning, somewhere outside Kansas City. They found his truck flipped in a ditch. The weird part? He was on Derringer Road. They say that road doesn't exist on any map before 2014. But if you drive that route now, you can see the turnoff sign. Rusted and half buried in snow that I haven't been back since. Sometimes I still get the urge to check my phone, to scroll through old messages. But the last one I ever sent him, the one with the dashcam file, it's gone. All that's left is a single unsent recording, timestamped 1:52 a.m. When I play it, I hear the sound of my own truck engine idling, and then my voice says, calm and low, stop here. I thought that story was an urban legend, until someone else sent me this next one. She lived in an apartment, alone, or at least she thought she did. I'd always dreamed of living alone in the city. No roommates, no noise, no one to answer to. When I finally found a place I could afford, I didn't care that it was old. The building had creaky floors, yellowed wallpaper, and a smell like damp paper. But it was mine, my own little sanctuary. The landlord handed me the keys with a shrug. Top floor, he said. No one above you. Quiet place. The first night, I unpacked in silence. The radiator hissed. The pipes groaned. I told myself I'd get used to the sounds. But then, at exactly 12:17 a.m., I heard footsteps. Slow, careful. Directly above me that IT wasn't pipes. It wasn't settling wood. It was the rhythm of someone walking. Back and forth that I froze, staring at the ceiling. Then it stopped. I laughed it off. It's an old building, I told myself. They creak. They echo. The next night, it happened again. Same time. Same pacing. By the third night, I couldn't take it anymore. I went downstairs to ask the landlord who was living above me. He frowned. There's no one up there, he said flatly. That apartment's been empty for years. You must be hearing something else. I almost laughed in his face. Something else sounded like boots. That night, I decided to record it. I set my phone on the nightstand, hit record, and waited. At 12:17 a.m., the footsteps came. Steady, moving closer to where I slept. I pulled the blanket up to my chin and pretended not to hear I in the morning. I played the recording back. Static. Then my own voice, whispering. It's okay. Go back to sleep. I didn't say that. I swear I didn't. That I tried to ignore it. I left the apartment during the nights, stayed late at cafes, called friends just to hear another voice. But eventually, exhaustion caught up with me. One night, I came home and heard it again, only louder. The ceiling creaked like something heavy was dragging across it. I stood in the middle of my living room and yelled, "Stop it!" Silence. Then, from above, 3 knocks. Slow, deliberate. Something inside me broke. I needed to know that I went upstairs. The hallway smelled like dust and old paint. The door to the apartment above was slightly ajar. My hand shook as I pushed it open. Inside it was my apartment. Exactly the same layout. Same furniture. Same photos on the wall. But everything was wrong. The colors were faded, the air stale. My couch was there, but covered in dust. My mug sat on the counter, cracked, and then I saw it. My phone on the kitchen table, vibrating. Incoming call. For me, I stared at it until the ringing stopped. Then it started again. Against every instinct, I picked it up, static. Then my voice, hoarse, trembling. Don't look up. I froze. My throat closed. I felt something drip on my shoulder, cold, wet. I looked up. The ceiling wasn't solid anymore. It bulged downward, the shape of a face pressing through plaster. My face. I ran. I didn't even lock the door. I just bolted down the stairs, out into the street, barefoot, shaking. When I came back the next morning with the landlord, the door was locked again. Inside, nothing. No dust. No duplicate furniture. Just an empty apartment that I moved out that week. A few months later, I drove by the building. It was boarded up. The news said there'd been a collapse on the top floor, some kind of structural rot. But at night, if you pass by, you can still see lights in one of the upper windows. Sometimes I wonder if someone else moved in. If they hear footsteps, too. Because sometimes, when I'm alone and the house is quiet, I still hear her voice. Mine, whispering from somewhere above me. Don't look up. They all thought they were alone. Maybe they were. Maybe that's when we're easiest to find you notice the pattern after a while. The details change, the names change, but the core never does. It's always about being alone. The quiet moments, the still hours when the world forgets you exist. That's when they find you. Point 3 stories. 3 people, all convinced their fear was just in their heads. Until it wasn't. The tapping, the figure on the road, the voice from the ceiling. Isolation isn't safety. It's an invitation. If you've ever seen or heard something you can't explain while you were alone, send it to me. I'll keep your name private. Probably. Static crackles faintly. Sorry, thought I heard something behind me. Anyway, some of you have already sent me things. Emails, recordings, even photos. One story came with an SD card, but I can't show what's on it. Legal reasons, they said. Or maybe something else. Still, if enough of you ask in the comments, maybe I'll share what was on that card. Just don't blame me if it doesn't stay on your screen for long. Pauses, faint breathing under the static. I get a lot of submissions about being watched, about feeling someone just out of sight. I used to think it was all in people's heads. But lately, while I'm recording these, I keep noticing the same thing. Sometimes, when I stop talking, I still hear breathing on the mic anyway. Thanks for listening. Remember to like, share, and subscribe. It helps me find more stories like these. And if you're watching this at night, take a second to look around your room. Make sure the door's closed. Until next time, make sure you're really alone tonight.